Axe Theater. That's a good name.
Battle Axes. Battle Axe, man. He brought the preach video.
Battle Axe Theater.
Death from Battle Axe. I don't know if you guys have seen, he just rants, and it's awesome. And he just starts screaming and yelling. I need to have a beer with that guy.
Hey, do you like drinking? Do you like vaping? Do you like to cuss? And this show is for you. It's Battle Axe Theater.
What is up, everybody? It's Punkshoe here with Battle Axe Theater for another fine episode of Battle Axe Live here with my boy Def.
Yo, yo, yo! It's Monday, and I hope everybody is drinking right now.
Wish I was. So yeah, we got a nice little episode planned for this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about something that we've seen in discussions a little bit recently, had discussions with people and various other different types of forums, whether it be Discord, Reddit, however, or whatever. But that's the topic of MMORPGs in the modern generation, particularly the new MMOs that are coming out, because I mean, there's still always been this slight appeal of MMORPGs in a modern sense, but now we've got a lot of these MMORPGs coming out that are really looking to capture the essence of the classic MMORPG genre and the whole mentality of like togetherness and community and things like that. So it's something that we want to talk about. We want to share some of our experiences and things. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we did this past week in this week's weekend re-review. And that's what I would normally hit the button. I felt like I was supposed to have a button, Def.
Well,
Soon?
Coming soon.
We promise. And also, guys, for those of you watching, be sure to stay tuned till the end of the video. If you're watching this via VOD, pay attention at the end. We have an important announcement at the end of tonight's stream. And but without further ado, Def, what did you do this past week?
Well, I upgraded my little bat cave here. Got some new equipment.
All right.
Yeah, I got some more foam. I don't know if it helped, but you've been following us. This room is very echoey when I moved in, and I think I got it down pretty good now.
I think it's better than pretty good. It no longer has the echo, and it definitely no longer has like all that spatial sound like this room does. So you sound like you're almost in a recording studio. So there's a little bit more sound treatment we got to do. We talked about that, but you should be good to go here real soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I'm so jealous of your office.
It's coming together, man. You shouldn't be too jealous. It's like a 10 by 10 room, but it works.
But it looks sick, dude. So he didn't say, but he got a new desk, and it's like bat themed. It's fucking sick.
It's all black and red. I got a little wireless charging thing for my phone, which is cool because my phone's always dead. So I like it.
Yeah, I totally dig it. Go ahead.
Other than that, we've been kind of hammering down some production coming in soon. So other than that, working on our future projects and doing this, that's about it.
I'm still pumped about the meeting we had last night.
Yeah, we got some cool things coming up. So
really excited for that. And so anything else?
That's
Sounds good,
man.
Sounds good. Myself, I cheers. This water. But I myself didn't really do a whole lot and have a lot of personal stuff going on with the computer business, a lot of PC cycling in and out. Had a really cool challenge this week. Had a customer that was on a really tight budget, but I told him we'd make it work. He had a really crappy computer and wants to play a racing simulator, iRacing, which is a little bit older, but so it doesn't require extreme hardware. But I had $100 budget to build a gaming computer on, and it doesn't have to be high end, but like that was a challenge in and of itself. But I managed to pull it off.
Nice, dude.
Really excited about that. Part's coming in later on this week, so I get to put that together. And I love building computers. You know that, so that's gonna be fun.
You're very passionate about getting someone who wants to get into PC gaming,
Right.
and like that's just awesome. You're passionate about it, and that's cool, especially those who have never gamed on a PC before. So.
Yep, I'm always willing to take in consoles. There's trade for those people looking to get out of consoles. Always trying to get machines that are out there on the budget level. It's usually sub $400 for, like an entry mid-tier used component PC. So that's a lot of fun.
You know what you need to do, dude?
What's that?
Sorry to interrupt. Boom Tap from Standing in Fire. You need to get that Optiplex fixed, man.
Hey, man, I've offered. I've even given him my subscription like 3 months in a row.
Boom, if you're watching, hit up Punk. He'll build you a PC, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd be happy to work with any of you guys that are in the content creator scene. I mean, obviously, you have to cover cost of shipping and stuff like that, but this is a passion of mine. It's what I love to do. I love to tinker. I love to build. I love the challenge of building a system within a budget range, especially now with the climate of PC gaming as it is with the new AMD release and things like that. So we shall see how this goes going forward. Outside of that, I've been playing a bunch of Project Gorgon. As Verdance would say, I've been playing way too much and I need to take a break. That's what he told me last night, dude.
Let me tell you, okay, Verdance, if you ever see this video, every time I'm on, if it's 3 in the morning on the weekends or if it's any time I get on during the weeknights, your ass is on. He's playing too much, man. He's always in town playing his instruments, or I see him out just randomly.
Mostly getting drunk in town, though.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
Yeah, so shout out to Verdance. He's one of the people that we met playing Project Gorgon and have befriended him pretty quick, and pretty cool guy.
Oh, yeah.
And shout out to Ashron's Legacy. If any of you guys are watching, that fucking guild is awesome. A lot of old schoolers, very, very cool. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. I managed to, dude. I'm at like almost four combat skills of level 50 over the course of what we've been playing 3 weeks. This will be week 4. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's been pretty crazy. I've been playing quite a bit. I am mentally exhausted, but we are definitely prepared after last night for our upcoming season. So that is exciting. So we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this. So you ready to jump into tonight's topic?
Yes.
So again, we're talking about MMORPGs in the modern generation. What do I mean by modern generation? I mean like anyone that's of gamer age in terms of maturity, and that's gray area in itself. But I'd say anyone between the ages of 14 and let's go with like 24 or something like that. We talk about MMORPGs quite often on this channel, and as Omega pointed out in our Discord chat, it is something where we talk a lot about a particular theme, which is community and interacting with the people around you. And we know that most modern MMORPGs don't have that element. There's a huge element of that's missing that we've seen a lot in Project Gorgon, and it just really it reignites that fire to have a game like that. And most of these modern MMORPGs are aiming to capitalize on that. They're targeting a niche market. But we've talked about this before. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm concerned about these games' survival purely based on this niche market. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's kind of funny you mentioned that. Right before the stream, I saw a video pop up, and Terra is doing Terra Classic now. So I think it's a theme to where it's like people coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's a niche market, but like, Omega Terra Classic, what? Anyway, it's a theme coming back, and I want you to remind me of something. I narrowed this topic down to 2 things, so remind me at the end of the stream, because I don't want to just like say it right now. But yeah, dude, I think I don't know how to answer this question straight up without rambling, but
okay.
I played EverQuest when I was like 13.
Right.
You know what I mean? And back in 99, 2000, whatever. It was new. It was mind blowing. It was exciting. It was something I've never seen before. Just the mere fact that I'm playing with someone else online was new. And then today's generation, that is just like, oh, that's a common thing. Let me get on Xbox Live Chat and just talk shit. It's almost like it's almost like the online gaming community. It gets abused so much, and that's just like with anything on the internet.
It's
really
funny though, like because with the launch of MMORPGs, there came this expectation of, I don't know if there's correlation or causation here, but there became this expectation of having an online component to almost any type of game that you played in any genre. Like it became to this thing where like every game in some capacity was like an MMORPG, and not just from the online perspective, but like core elements. I think MMORPGs open the minds up to people who play shooters and things like that, and they may have played EverQuest for a little bit or RPGs, and it kind of opened up this structure where they felt like there was more than just logging in and getting a select few guns and running around and shooting people. There was like this development, whereas you see now, like if you play COD, you're going to see like several different types of classes. You're going to see development within that. You're going to see advanced mechanics with upgrading your weaponry and shit like that. And I think that really throws back to the MMORPG genre.
Right. Oh, yeah. We kind of talked about that in, I forget which episode it was. But how shooters use elements, like upgrading your guns, now, you play any COD game, I think, even back 20 CODs ago, you got this leveling system where you level up your progression,
Yeah, I remember seeing that in, I think it was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a later game in the PlayStation 1 era, around the same time that, EverQuest came out, and you start to see this development even in racing games, fighting games, shooters, this like level of depth, and maybe it was just because coding opened up for that. But where am I going with this? Well, where I'm going with this is the fact that a lot of these kids play these different types of games, and it's almost like they've gone backwards by playing games like Fortnite and things like that. Now, granted, it's a skill-based game. It's PvP. It's exhilarating. I can understand the appeal of those games. They're just not for me because you can't build anything up. League of Legends is every match. It's a new thing. The only thing you get is cosmetics and climbing the ladder. Overwatch, Paladin, so on and so forth. There's no mechanic kind of...
Hey, man.
But you that's the reality of it, right?
You're saying.
There's
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
There's nothing. I have nothing against these games, but the issue is there's no progression upwards. There's no. I just spent 140 hours playing this game, and I actually have something to show for it outside of just some general skill set that I have as me as a human.
Right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say what I said to remind me of. I think what it comes down to in today's generation is just basically how nerdy are you? What appeals to you, because you know what I mean? Because are you into progressing a character? Are you into this fantasy world? Example, you've been telling me to get into D&D for I don't know how long.
Correct.
I consider myself a nerd, but man, I don't know if I can do it, dude. I don't want to knock it till I try it. But at the same time, I'm just not engaged. I'm not intrigued enough to jump into a D&D campaign,
So,
but I play old school MMOs all day long.
So would you say that it has something to do with this ADD generation, or do you think it really just does come down to that? Because back when we played EverQuest, you had to be like a nerd to play EverQuest. That was the perception. You didn't go to work and tell your friends you played EverQuest. You didn't go to school and say, hey, I played EverQuest. You might have to your small little circle of friends, but you didn't want to go tell your jock buddy. I was kind of like that. I had the circle of friends, but you didn't tell everybody because they didn't know how to relate.
Hey man, don't fuck with me. I got a level 50 necro.
Oh Jesus.
I'm kidding.
I almost got in fights in school over PvP that happened in a mud that I used to play with the boys at school. It's fucking hilarious. Dude was like 6'4" or some shit in high school, and I was like 5'7", and I'm like, man, I'll whip your ass. You see me in PvP tonight. See what happens.
Oh my god.
Then I go to school and he's all like, yo, bro,
Well,
talk shit now.
Well, going back to that, like a lot of people didn't know about EQ when it first came out. You know,
Right,
it was
that's what
like
I'm saying.
a lot of people didn't even know what the internet was. I mean, you know, I'm just saying, you know, like, dude, you got to have American Online and you can play this game.
Right.
But WoW kind of mainstreamed this whole thing, and WoW got. I remember you, if you don't mind me sharing this information. You were talking about how back in the day you used to work at Best Buy, and there would be like all kinds of people that you would not picture as an MMO gamer,
Right.
talking about WoW.
Yep.
You know, and it's like that's kind of crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean it is. So when we talk about in a sense of a modern generation, so if we think all right, let's try to take a section of that and look at the kids that do play MMOs. These kids that play, like, let's think about things, people like Dougie and Z and Ben and people like that. So we know that they're into some of these games and they've played a few, but I want to think that they're like the exception and they don't quite fall in with the younger generation like my son, but. So there might be an appeal, but then we try to get them to play EverQuest with us, or we try to get them to play, Project Gorgon with us, and we explain, it's ugly as hell, but if you can get past it, the systems are so good, and there's a genuine disinterest because the graphics aren't on par, if that makes sense.
And I want to say something about that because
Sure.
Project Gorgon is fucking ugly as fuck. And I'm sorry to be so vulgar about that, but god damn. It's hideous, dude. But I get sucked in because of the mechanics.
Dude,
And,
the programming of that game and the systems they're just top notch. They're so good. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but and it's kind of like if, let's say I want someone that's never played EverQuest to try out P99 with me.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to fucking hate it unless they put in the time and effort to get to X level and to see how things used to work. You know what I mean? And even then, it may not appeal to them because it's just, that's not what gaming is in today's generation. You know what I mean? It's not like it used to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. I mean, it makes sense. But to see, all right, so here's the question I have, and this is the real reason why I wanted to start this whole conversation. So we look at games like Pantheon. There's this level of challenge. We talk about Project Gorgon. I mean, we're dying all the fucking time in that game. Now, granted, there's not the death penalty because there's a certain death mechanic that's built into the game that is it's a lore factor, if you will, right? But in these games, there's this level of difficulty. I mean, there's nothing like getting to the end of a dungeon in Project Gorgon and dying and spawning at the very entrance and having to go crawl the entire dungeon to get back to the end, or dying in the middle of nowhere on the way back from a party and EverQuest or perhaps Pantheon. We don't know yet because they haven't clarified on the death mechanics, and then having to run back to your corpse. So, like, all these new games seem to be wanting to capitalize on some of these older mechanics so that way they can build memories based around those experiences. But my fear is that that's actually going to turn away these kids that are potentially interested in MMOs because the way it's presented is like, well, for one, there's that level of difficulty, which it's not to say that there's not a subsection of younger people that want a level of difficulty. Two, there is the, I guess there's no three, so this is just two. Secondly, it's the older people that are going to be inclined to play these games. I mean, think back when you were 14. Would you want to go play a game with a bunch of 40-year-olds? Am I asking the wrong person here? Were you not a stubborn teenager?
And no, I probably wouldn't if I was trying to put myself back into 14-year-old me. I'd be like,
it's hard.
No,
We're
man.
old. Yeah, and I'm seeing
like
that more
100
now
years ago.
because like my son, he just turned 14, and so he has these friends, and they're on the level. They're like, he's got one friend that is nerdy, right? Like he is into D&D and shit like that, and the kid's a super cool kid, and I try to have a conversation with him, but he seems like, why the hell is this old dude talking to me? Like, I don't I don't want to have a
Well-
conversation with you. So
You know, I asked you, I think the other night, I'm like, you know, if we played WoW Classic, would your son want to play with us? You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's like, I, I, I think, so I'm not about this battle royale stuff. I'm just, it's not my style of game. I'm not hating on it, but I could never play Fortnite or Apex or whatever and enjoy it.
right.
But I have to say, all these events they have, I mean, these events go viral. Some little kid just won $3 million. Like, he's, I think, 12 or something. I mean, it's like, what the hell? But they do good at these, like, social events, these viral events, and they bring people together. And it's like, oh my God, I have to be on tomorrow night because this event's going on in Fortnite. I can't fucking miss it. You know what I mean?
You want to know what's ironic about what you're saying? I
What's that?
actually have a plan to have 2 extra teenagers in my house for the new season of Fortnite. And the kids are going to stay up all night on Wednesday night until 5 o'clock when the server shut down to reboot on Thursday morning, and then they're going to get on as soon as it goes live. So
You see what I mean?
yeah,
I mean,
that's-
tonight's topic is, you know, the modern generation. You know what I mean?
and it's like they have the same level of dedication that we did, even though we were playing MMOs. They have that same level of dedication.
Yeah.
But how do you make them play and have interest in Pantheon? How do you make them play and have interest in Saga? How do you make them play and have interest in Project Gorgon and other games that are coming out with these types of mechanics, which, you know, they're not short-lived. They're not instant gratification and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you can.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's kind of like I said, it's how nerdy are you? You know what I mean? It's. Go
I mean,
ahead.
do you think it really is? How nerdy are you though? Like
That's my personal opinion. I mean, I think you got to be a fantasy nerd to get into
look, bro.
an MMORPG.
You know you want to play D&D, and you're just doing it. You're just saying this horse shit because you're a fucking hipster, and you don't want to be part of that crowd because D&D is
No.
getting popular now, and everybody's playing it. It's
Well,
hip to play D&D, bro.
Omega did mention that being nerdy is like popular these days, and I will give it that. But, dude, I don't know if I'd like D&D. But I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it.
So I'm gonna ask chat, guys. So and I'm sorry.
I am not a hipster. God damn it, Minus.
I'm having some difficulty keeping up with chat, so I apologize. I'm probably not going to be able to communicate with you guys too much because of vertigo issues. So I want to ask you, and Def, let me know if I miss anything here. Do you guys think that the design of these modern MMOs that are coming out based on like the traditional play style, if you will, do you think they're going to have an issue finding a player base in the younger generations? Or do you think it's just going to be like when we were 14 years old or 15 years old? Do you think they're going to get the player base just fine, and it's going to target the right people, and the right people are going to play, and they're not going to have any problem making money and staying afloat for 10, 20 years?
I want to say something though. I get triggered, I guess. I'm gonna try to be in today's generation and use some of the lingo. I get triggered, bro. I get triggered, fam, when people are against kids wanting to try, let's say, Pantheon, Saga, Project Gorgon.
Same
I
here,
get
man.
triggered, man, because I'm like, why not let them try it? If they're not worth a damn, then they're not going to get a group. They're not going to be wanted. You know what I mean? And these
Yeah.
older style MMOs, like Project Gorgon, man, you see the same names. You know, it's like a nice private community.
Yeah.
You know, like how you act socially, you're known. You have a reputation. You have an identity. So I get really frustrated when people are like, this is for a specific audience, you know, specific people and a niche, you know, clique or whatever.
I hate
That
it.
irritates me. Because, like, why would you not want kids to grow up playing Pantheon? Let's say, you know, a 13-year-old kid decides to hop on Pantheon and loves it, and that's his EverQuest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, dude. And this is one of the things that I'm scared of, and this is what we've talked about on Reddit several times. And Minus has had to mention this, and many other people who are probably here tonight or will be watching this as a VOD, and we've had to address this on Reddit. There's no reason to hate on these kids just because you've got a friend whose kid is a douchebag on Xbox Live and screams and hollers doesn't mean that there aren't a vast number of teenagers out there that will have, they'll be advanced enough, and maybe even more advanced than we were when we were teenagers, to comprehend what is in an MMORPG and be able to build that family unit within the MMORPG community and so on and so forth. Like, we shouldn't shut them out. And that's, Ren says he's not worried at all about getting, getting people in general. And Noob Master 69,
Chris.
dude. There's somebody named that in Project Gorgon, dude.
Chris, dude, so just on our identity episode, when we came up with the topic, I'm like, yeah, man, when you see someone named, what did I say?
I don't know, dude. I'm out of it.
It was like, I don't know, but it was something like that name, and it's like, is that the person you want to be identified with and grouping with, Like, you see that all the time.
Yeah. So Fel says, oh, go ahead.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
I'm just kind of moving along. I'm sorry, a little scatterbrained here.
You're fine.
Fel says she feels like that younger generations seek fast-paced gameplay like Battle Royale type games. The more she plays modern MMOs like WoW and FFXI, Final Fantasy 14, Jesus Christ, the less she sees younger people than 25. And, I mean, do you think that's really indicative of the modern teenager, or is that just because like that is what is shoved in everybody's face? Because dude, do you remember going to school? Like, well, you and I had a different experience, but I remember going to school and hearing about like PlanetSide and shit like that. Like, you go to school and you'd hear about all these like multiplayer games or these MMORPGs or these fantasy-based games. And like, I feel like in modern culture, it's like you go to school and all you hear is Fortnite and Apex and, Left 4 Dead and shit like that. Maybe not Left 4 Dead these days, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, you're not going to high school and kids are talking about playing, World of Warcraft these days or Final Fantasy. No, they're talking about playing battle royales.
I actually had a chick, I don't know, 2 years ago. You're like a Warcraft player, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. And she was talking about how she plays League and stuff.
Right.
And she's like, you're one of those Warcraft people. And I'm like, bitch. No, I didn't say that. But I get you, man. But I think what it comes down to is, I guess, in luring the younger generation, to try it out. You know what I mean? Because that sense of adventure is... So, you kind of mentioned Paladins earlier. Now, I'm a big PvPer. Hate on me all you want, everybody.
Sure.
But
you're awful. Anyway, go ahead.
But Paladins, right? And when I was at your place and Z came over and we were playing it, you saw the randomness, and you understand how the game works. You know all about it.
Right.
But the randomness is just awesome. You never know what's going to happen. It's tie game. Cutthroat. At the end. That's kind of in MMOs, like Project Gorgon, it's kind of an old school MMO, and we have went through low level dungeons and died. Unexpected. What I'm saying is unexpected journeys.
We're level 50 guys, and we ran into like a level 20 dungeon and died because we were just power pulling, not realizing that we were getting our faces wrecked. For context,
right? But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just. How do you hook them, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's got to be something compelling there. And without PvP, because we're seeing that as a more common element, is removing the PvP element from these MMOs. Saga's not going to have it. There's really been no discussion of Pantheon having it. We know that it's not really, it's a semi-event thing that happens in PG, but it's not really promoted. It's not really a PvP thing right now. And at the very most, these games are looking at implementing something like PG's got like this arena type thing that they're going to do where you can go through a portal into a fighting arena, and that's the gist of PvP. So,
hey.
But PvP is always fun and exciting, and if it's balanced properly and it's separated from the PvE element, it does give another thing for people to play in a game that might attract younger generations. But what of the rest of the game? I mean, if it's got to be fast, it's got to be quick, like Fel was mentioning, are we taking away from that, again, that essence, that slow progression? Because I feel like, I don't know, man, like I feel like I made a family back when I was playing Final Fantasy 11. Like I've an online family. Yeah. And to an extent in WoW too, but that was mostly because I had already grown and developed from a teenager into, you know, this person that I was when I started guilds and things like that and World of Warcraft. So without that influence, these kids don't know what that is like. And then here's the other question. So in this community that we play in with these older generations, are these kids going to look at this as like a pay it forward type situation? Or do you think they're going to be like, oh, everybody's just giving me free shit? Awesome.
Man, that's a good question. That's a really good question.
What do you guys think? But go ahead, Def.
Yeah. I want to know what chat thinks about that, because, you know, even Project 99, we've seen this. We've seen it in Reborn. You have these high-level people that don't really have anything to do, but they have enjoyment of helping out noobs, giving people advice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist in a modern MMO. I mean, it's never happened to me in WoW. It's never happened to me in Final Fantasy 14. I think those are the only two. Oh, ESO? It's never happened to me in ESO.
I mean, I would venture to say that it's more likely to occur within a guild situation. Right. But you're not going to run into some random person out in the world that's all like, yo, my bags are full. You look like you could use this stuff. Do you want it? And then they give it to you and they're like, oh, are you new? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, well, here's 80,000 gold. And then they just leave. And they're like, what just happened? This is awesome.
I got to share this experience. So I think it was... Okay, we played P99 for a weekend. We're at the newbie lift or whatever in Kellethan. This guy, this high-level shaman, comes up, gives my little paladin dwarf a helmet. And I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of AC. Thank you, man. And fast forward to like the next night, I'm zoning. I'm trying to get to a certain place. And then my trade window pops up. And it's another badass item. And he's like, he didn't even say anything. He just gave me a badass piece of gear and zoned. It's like, you look like a noob. It looks like you need this, so take it, you know?
I mean, but then you see that, and it's like people like us coming from that old school MMORPG scene. We're like, okay, now I'm level 50 or I'm level 60, and I run across a level 12 noob. Well, here, noob, this happened to me, so it's going to happen to you. Here's some free shit.
Yeah, passing it on, dude. And I mean, that doesn't exist. And I think a lot of that is because of the modern day mechanics of how the game works, you know, like personal loot, or, you know what I mean? There's no unique items that drop that you can just give away, or either that, or it's all like no drop items, or it's bound to you when you loot it, things like that, you know?
Yeah, there's just so many elements to talk about that I don't think we could really hit every one of them. I mean, I guess my biggest fear is I'm afraid that, you know, 14-year-old Punk Shoe out there in 2019, Punk Shoe 2, whoever it may be, is never going to get this chance to experience it because of social pressures, because of the anxiety or the non-exposure to these games. And it really bums me out because, like Corey said, these kids aren't even talking about MMOs. They're not talking about even Final Fantasy or Terra or BDO. I mean, you would think a teenager would want to play BDO and run around as a hot chick doing karate with your tits bouncing around all over the place. But if they're not even talking about those kind of games, it's almost like another topic for another day is, you know, the genre and its state as a whole and whether or not it might be dying.
Damn, dude. I mean, older guys, tits bouncing, you know, I don't know. You lost me there.
I mean, if I was a teenager, BDO would be super appealing for more than one reason. But yeah, it's like, man, like I just worry about these kids that, you know, they're being peer pressured into playing games like Like, all right, so let's use me for an example. Like, I play Paladins with you guys just to hang with you, but I fucking hate it. Like, I hate the game because it's just not for me. And there's a little punk shoe out there that's being, in order to hang out with his friends, he's having to play games like Fortnite and Apex and games like that, and doesn't even know that the MMORPG genre exists. And maybe he's like an honors or AP student in high school and is able to process this stuff and needs that to challenge his or her mind, but doesn't get that from a game. So then they just don't end up gaming. And like you were saying earlier, I have this deep passion about gamers because, dude, gaming in and of itself helped develop my brain state and the way it is to be able to process and analyze and troubleshoot things, so that way I can do things the way I do in real life. And if I hadn't had games, I would have never learned how to type, because I didn't take typing courses or anything like that. I just learned from talking to people in games, and you pick up on it. And there might be some kid out there that never gets that exposure and ends up just going to school, goes to law school, becomes a lawyer, and doesn't have the joy of an MMORPG in their life. And it might enrich it thoroughly to the point where, like, they have something to look forward to when they come home. That's my biggest fear, man.
It's kind of sad, dude, because like I said, I was playing EverQuest as a young age, and I learned a lot, dude. Like, I learned a lot of stuff. I learned how to communicate with people. I mean, I learned, it's sad. It's very sad. That's all I have to say.
It is a sad thing. So what comes next? That's I think that's the question. Is like, are we at this like precipice of like gaming? I mean, this has been a discussion for a long time at this point. Has gaming kind of reached a head to where everything is just rehashed bullshit? Something has to come in and disrupt the market, a completely new style of game. And VR, in a way, has kind of done that. But until somebody is able to incorporate VR into a more in-depth style game, I don't think it's really going to take off. But yeah, like, I mean, have we reached that point where it's like, I mean, MMOs were a new genre for us, right?
Right.
So do these kids need something else that's new and engaging that kind of give them that fantasy element? Or is it like everything in life that has an ebb and flow? I mean, I'm sure this happened during the 80s and the 90s and the 70s, that there was this interest in fantasy that peaked over to politics and other bullshit. And then, we see these little blips in time of fantasy being prevalent. Are we just living in a time where the fantasy element is not really a thing anymore? Or is it overly saturated with things like Game of Thrones that people get their fulfillment without ever reading a book or playing a game?
That's very deep. I had like 5 things I wanted to say, and I just lost them all.
Oh, no. You got to think back on that, because it's only 8:40. And guys, I'm running out of things to say.
Feel free to ask questions now. Man. Dude, I don't know, man. I keep going back to this, like, how nerdy are you thing, man? Like, it's almost like they're not even introduced to it because of all the things that are popular. You got your boy, you got Larry at school, and you got Billy Bob, and they're like, man, Fortnite is going down, man, log on tonight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's also this thing, never mind. That's not going to make sense. I was going to say, well, I guess it will. MMOs, they take a lot of time. They're massive time sinks. And I think today's generation they don't have the attention span for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I'm not seeing flashy loot in 10 seconds, if I'm not getting my gear right now, right this second, or seeing action right here, right now, I don't want the story. I don't want the adventure. I want my shit. I want it now. I want to show it off. You know what I mean?
You know what I think? I think we should revisit this topic in the future and actually bring a younger person on and kind of interview them and talk to them about, what they're experiencing at school in terms of exposure to games, and what games do they play, why do they play them, what's the appeal of them, what games are their friends playing, what's the appeal of that, have they ever even heard of MMORPGs, so on and so forth. Real quick, so Chris Kane says, this is back on what we were talking, accessibility is a curse upon games, but a boon for profits. And I say fucking mend at that, because now there's all these games that are accessible at your fingertips that you get to a certain point where you don't even know what the hell to choose. And then you also have like these games that come out that don't even really need to be out. Like it'd be better served for those people to be part of a larger company that's producing a better piece of content than putting out some bullshit broken MMO or bullshit broken adventure game, whatever. But you know what? It makes money, and you know, I could start up a game based on Unity engine, right? It's free. And we could produce a game and put out this MMORPG and put microtransactions in it, and it could be you know, as long as it was compelling enough to get somebody to play it for a month and want to dump some cash into a cash shop, we can make bank, bro.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't make
that,
it doesn't make it a real thing, though. It doesn't make it a good game. It doesn't do any service to the industry, and that's what kids have to deal with, man. Like everything is so overly saturated. You and I, we grew up in this. We watched it evolve. We know what games came out. We remember the chronological process.
Right.
And these kids, they turn it on, and it's like walking into a vape shop for us and going, holy shit, that's a lot of juice. What the fuck do I want to buy?
Yeah, dude. And it's like, you know, if you're a younger kid or whatever, you know, it's like, oh, dude, I just got this game. You got to play it. You know, like some hardcore titles or whatever, AAA games, you know, like, bro, we've been playing this, we've been playing that, you know. You know, it's almost like you got, gaming is so fucking popular these days that you don't have, like, it's gaming ADD, you know. We're seeing it in the bat community, we're seeing it in other communities, you know. It's just there's just so much that it's not like you can pick one game and play it for X amount of years or X amount of months like you used to be able to.
Yeah. And Zoltar, I need to remind you, man, we're just a couple dudes shooting the shit, man. We're not going out and getting the analytical numbers and trying to figure anything out. So hell yeah, there's a lot of assumptions here, and we're just going based on the fact that I've got a teenager at home that won't play a fucking MMO with me, and it makes me mad. So I'm a little biased and butthurt that my kid won't play an MMO with me. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of speculation, a lot of, again, this is what ifs. This is just a conversation. There's no hard numbers. We've done no studies. You know, we don't have any raw information on this, but what I can say is when we've got a school teacher that's right here in chat saying that the kids just aren't talking about MMORPGs, that makes the MMORPG nerd and us really sad, because that means that the MMORPGs are not getting the exposure. And I love all you old farts, but I don't want to play with all you old farts forever. I would love to have new faces. I would love to have kids that I can bond with and nurture, and they befriend me, and then IRL, you know, I get to watch them grow. Like, dude, I mean, I've known.
Speak it up. That's happened, man.
Exactly. And like, you know, with Z and Dougie, they were both very young. Tor was very young, and we've established these relationships with them. And we were, you know, I was only like 21, 22 at the time when I met these people. But, you know, as a 40-year-old dude, I'd love to befriend, you know, a 15, 16-year-old that goes, hey, man, you're my guild leader and you're super cool, and we've kind of got a relationship. My dad is sick and dying, and my mom has this issue, and I really need some life advice. I want to be able to be there for those people and kind of tell them, wow. Anyway, but to tell them, like, you know, impart my wisdom, impart my knowledge to them, and impart my encouragements to them, because, you know, I want to have that relationship. And there's that whole exposure for us old people to the younger people to teach us a few things, you know, like fucking YOLO and fam and, you know, all the other crazy shit you kids talk. Like
Lit AF. Man.
Yeah, lit AF. Them thoughts and what ratchets. Man, we're kind of bouncing around between the different time eras, but yeah, like you wouldn't know that those sort of things or even what they meant. So you could be on, like, you know, in public. I don't want to be that old grandpa that's standing in a line at Walmart going, "What the fuck is this kid saying?"
Yeah. Well, dude, man, I just lost my train of thought.
You gotta shut me up sometimes, dude. You just gotta shut me up.
Oh man, we may have to move on. Sorry guys, I'm fail tonight. It's been a long day. As
Yeah.
soon as you start talking, I'm gonna remember though.
Well, you start thinking, and I'm gonna respond to Kane. So Chris Kane says, he'd rather have people come to them, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not like reaching out for this, but I want diversity. You know, I want diversity of culture. I want diversity of ages in a game. I do not want to play Pantheon with a bunch of old farts. I want to play Pantheon. I don't want to be that person that's still playing EverQuest right now because they're just content with their 100-person community because they've been playing it for the last 20 years. I want to be that person that's playing with younger people that can give a broader, different perspective and insight on the game that they're playing. Do you think of it yet, Def?
No.
So I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I know that we've kind of left you hanging the last couple of episodes in the middle of a conversation, but we do try to keep these episodes about an hour long. We are about 13 minutes until the end of that episode, and we did have some stuff that we wanted to talk about going forward. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns about this discussion piece that we're having tonight, Def, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the topic?
No, unless I remember, then I'll throw it in at the end.
And you already covered your narrow it down topics to the two things that it came down to, which was how nerdy are you?
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds corny, dude, but how nerdy are you? I mean, it's like, do you want an adventure or do you want instant, what word am I looking for?
Gratification.
There you go. That's the word.
Yeah, I think it does kind of come down to that.
I mean, it does, dude. It's like, any game you play nowadays. I mean, dude, let's be real. You get to WoW, you play WoW. You do dungeons. You get all this gear. Like, it means nothing. We said this a billion times throughout our videos. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. When you were responding to Zotar, we kind of mentioned that in one of our videos. I don't remember which one, but how the MMORPG genre is dying, and it makes us sad.
It does.
You know what I mean? It makes us sad. That's why we support Saga of Lucimia or Pantheon or any we went pretty deep into Project Gorgon, and it reminded me. It was the closest thing to EverQuest I felt in a while because of the community and all the things to do, the sense of adventures, which we'll talk about later, but. That was one of the main points I wanted to drive home.
And yeah, we're still into Project Gorgon, Zoltar. We're at this week is our last week of playing super hardcore. I've kind of fallen in love with the game, so I'm going to be playing it kind of as like my regular jam in between SOL tests and eventually Pantheon tests, and then eventually the launch of either or both of those games. But Project Gorgon, it definitely has a major appeal for me. So, yeah, I'm still playing that, and I'm just punk shoeing the game. So if you're playing, just holler at me. So moving on from this topic, since we're talking about Project Gorgon, Def, and tell these guys a little bit about what we're doing. Is that you cool with that?
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
All right. So starting next month, so the first week of next month, all through the month of August, you will be seeing a little bit less of us, or a lot less. Well, we'll get into that in here in a moment. We are going to buckle down. We've got 8 to 10 videos to produce on Project Gorgon. We've already got those all laid out, ready to go. You should see a teaser within a couple of weeks, a few weeks rather, about the upcoming season. And it's really cool what we're doing because it's going to allow us to spend this entire month to really give an entire month of production to this topic. So rather than on a weekly basis having a time crunch, we're going to have an entire month to create these videos, to really polish them for you guys and deliver those videos to you in a polished format. And during the time that those videos are playing, for the first month, Def and I will actually get to take a little bit of a break. For those of you watching, Militus and Minus, Nathan, anybody else who's got like an open platform, if you want to have us on, during that time period, just shoot us a message through the normal channels. It's something that we've been wanting to do for a while with you guys, and we have done a little bit here and there, but due to this weekly schedule we've been on, it's just so hard to find that time. So now we're going to be able to do that. And, just reach out to us, and it would go the other way route too. Like in the future when we're doing a Bat Live, we might have some time to bring on extra guests and things like that because, that's a little bit more involved. And when you finish, you want to hang out and talk for a little bit. And right now we're not really in a position to do that. But so that kind of gives you an idea of what's coming up and what we're all about. Have been working on some monetization stuff. We've been getting a pretty decent turnout on Monday nights, and we really appreciate all you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for those of you who have joined the Discord and support us and share this shit with your friends. We are super grateful to look at those numbers and see that we're almost up near 1,000 subs. You know, to some people that might not seem like much, but I mean, dude, Def, you remember when we were just trying to get to 100 so that way we could get our URL?
Yeah. Oh,
Like-
yeah.
like-
That was like yesterday, dude.
Like, it was a struggle. So thank you guys for all that support. If you guys do wish to support us monetarily in the future, we are looking at having a Patreon. One of the big things Def and I have talked about is merchandise, because we want you guys to get something for your money. And when we do eventually advertise on this platform, it's going to be in a tasteful manner, and provided we can bring in income outside of advertisement to cover the time and investment that has been put into this channel, we will try to keep it as ad-free as possible. So I can't wait to get you guys some of that stuff. Def, you and I were talking about maybe going over that and probably getting a push on that around the time that the new series launches, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it'd be really cool to have like a few exclusives every time we do a season, like a limited run. So keep an eye out for that stuff. We'll keep you guys posted on that. I've only done a little bit of looking into this, and there is a price point associated with that. And it takes money to make money. But on to the last subject here. So because we're going to be doing this production, we're only 15 episodes in, and that, you know, on one hand, that's like, it's crazy. It's already been 15 episodes, right?
Right.
But if you think about that, that is, you know, over 15 hours of content that we've produced in a live format. And it's something that we definitely want to keep doing, and it's something that we are going to keep doing. But for the sake of being able to give this entire focus and gaining a night back for production, while we're doing these production processes, you may see no or very few Battle Axe Live episodes. So what we would say is that effectively at this point, Def, right, we're taking a break. And that's because we need our Monday nights, because we need, Def has his day job, and I have my, what I'd like to turn back into a day job instead of 6 o'clock in the morning job. I would like to get back to focus on my end, and that would give us Monday evenings of work. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to get to work on this new project we got going on, but there may be a pop-up video here and there, you know, pop-up live stream here and there, maybe some after hour streams on the weekends, you know, stuff like that. But as far as consistent regular content going up, you know, that's gonna be on a break.
And I know that we've got that one skit idea that we talked about last night too, so I'd like to get that up as a video if we could just throw that together really fast. You know, a short 3-minute skit to show these guys, you know, when we talked about last night that I sent you the message about.
Huh?
Good listen, bro. Good chat.
I'm sorry. Ren just said something that caught my eye, and I.
You go right ahead. But anyway, we're gonna try to get some little tidbits here and that out for you, because we don't want to go a week without publishing anything. I mean, that's just stupid. You know, we didn't put in all this work to not publish anything for an entire month. So expect a teaser for the next season, maybe a skit or two here and there, just some small stuff in the future. Of course, if you want to get involved in the conversation, the Discord link is in the description of this video and the majority of our other videos. You can also follow us on Twitch and Facebook, Twitter and Facebook. And I am an asshole, dude. We've been multi-streaming or multicasting to both Mixer and Twitch. And if you guys prefer to watch us on those platforms, feel free to, but nobody has talked. So that's what I was worried about. I was worried that we missed some people.
Oh, I've been keeping an eye on the chat. So
cool, man. And that's something that we're really gonna be focusing on, polishing up Battle Axe Live for when we come back. It's not gonna be done in seasonal things. We'll be episode 16 when we come back, and it gives us a little bit of time to cool our heads and come up with some other topics. So if you got any other topics, feel free to shoot us a message via Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and you know, we'll take a look at those and give some thought to that. But I don't really have anything else right here. Anything going on in chat?
Well, we were just talking about how Minus doesn't realize how much superior Tool is to Deftones, and that's.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, because this had to be said. So Sorry about that.
Did it spark that, like, you got triggered again?
Well, Ren mentioned that Maynard went live on Joe at the same time we went live, and he made time to watch us. So that meant a lot. So
Yeah,
I
that
had
does
to-
mean a lot, and I appreciate every one of you guys making that sacrifice with your normal shit that you do to come out, and I really appreciate those of you who weren't able to make it out live, listening to our bullshit on the way to work or the way home or at work, whatever. It is an honor that you guys are watching and listening to us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, man.
100%.
You got anything else?
That's it, man. I just want to, like you just said it, man. I just like to thank everybody for supporting us and just bear with us as we go on a bit of a hiatus. And, don't forget about us. We'll still be, popping up here and there, but we're working on some
Yeah,
good
we will.
stuff.
Just right up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Until then, bye.
Later.